the songs on the album are going to highlight the different instruments and the different things I could do on the different instruments.
You serious?
And with that hype out of the way, just last month, like, it was a month ago, we wrapped up the ever fascinating saga that was the Fire Festival. A story that started in the end of April and kept trickling out new updates that kept us going until this year. This story we're about to talk about, maybe it won't last that long, but it's been a while since we've talked about something this magnificently stupid. And it makes me so happy that we get to do this kind of story dissection and discussion again. So, strap in, kids. We're about to talk about Threatin.
All right.
Now, you might be asking, who the hell is that? Well, Threatin actually refers to a musical act rooted in Los Angeles, fronted by a musician named Jered Threatin. They have been around for a couple of years, it seems like. They released a debut album last year, and they were actually scheduled to play a European tour that would start at the beginning of the month, November 1st, and end in November 16th. Now, apparently this had been going on for about, like, a week or so, but there were some peculiarities that didn't really get picked up on until, we started seeing all the reporting from, and we have to give the absolute credit here to Vince Neilstein of Metal Sucks for being fascinated enough to research and collate all this information together. Go read his articles. He's been digging into that shit. He is the man. Also, he manages Rivers of Nile, apparently. I didn't know that. But, anyway, so how things started. Let's start at November 1st. The Underworld, a venue in London, is where they kicked off their set. Posts began spreading through social media after the venue made a very bitter response to the nature of the event. See, evidently the band's agent claimed that they sold 291 tickets to the event. And you want to know how many people actually turned up? 3.
Oh, no.
Let's quote from the venue here. This is from a Facebook post they made. Quote, "What happened to the 291 advance ticket sales your agent said you sold? 3 people turned up. Please don't lie about ticket sales, and please don't contact us again for a show." They seem very, very bitter about that. So there's another 2 shows after that. Go ahead.
So, I don't know what's more fucked up this or when 50 Cent bought Ja Rule tickets and...
Oh my god, yeah, that was a thing. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. But anyway, let's move on to the next major incident. So they had a show November 4th in Newcastle, a show November 5th in Glasgow, and then a show November 6th at the Exchange in Bristol. This issue comes up again because the promoter claimed to have sold 180 tickets in advance, but no one showed up except for a few people from one of the opening band's guest lists. Let's quote from the venue yet again. It was a bit weird to find out the promoter was still in Hollywood instead of being at the gig. Slightly weirder that we hadn't sold any tickets to the venue at all. We had to ask Threatin to pay the venue hire and staff costs before anyone else played. The singer eventually huffed off and withdrew the money so the show could continue and they could play to literally 0 people, aside from their tour manager and a couple of guys from one of the support bands because they felt bad for this guy. 38,000 likes on Facebook, which have all been paid for. The 100 or so people attending the event page, and all the other event pages for their tour, are based in Brazil. Every comment on their YouTube videos is phony, including ones about how the women posting want to lick sweat off his body. I'm starting to think they probably didn't win Top Rock Artist of the Year award like their bio suggests. Stick a pin in that last one. We'll come back to it later.
Okay, Rob, before you continue, I just want to mention something. Quoting this Metal Sucks piece, you've been saying a lot of stuff about this band's quote-unquote booking agent or promoter. Well, apparently, the guy himself is posing as their booking agent and promoter.
Yes, that is true.
What a fucking shit heap, man.
Yeah, we'll get to that. This whole thing, there is some work that went into this, and, you know, this stuff gets even weirder when you actually try to dig through their YouTube presence. Search Threatin, and you'll find, you know, concert footage that is either one of two things. Either it's crowd-filmed cell phone footage, or just footage of the guy performing in front of a blue screen with dynamic lighting that suspiciously crops out other band members or the audience as well. And about those crowd cell phone videos, they're exactly shaky enough that you don't really get a good view of the stage. So, just to put it this way, at no point do you ever see any videos of Threatin or the crowd in the same shots. So, let that be cause for concern.
Okay.
And, now, let's go to November 8th. This was a gig at Asylum 2 in Birmingham. And let's quote from, you know, the venue. Oh, no, this isn't from the venue. This is actually from a musician, Adam Gostick of the Unresolved, you know, reporting to Metal Sucks as well. The day before, we got a message from Ghost of Machines explaining there was nobody at their Bristol show with Threatin. We spoke with Asylum, who told us they'd been told it was sold out, but they checked ticket sales and they were at 0. Asylum made it free entry. We got the gig from an email titled Show Offer from somebody called Casey from Stage Right Bookings. Casey being the alias that Mr. Threatin came up with for the bookings. We'll expand on this even further, because again, this goes pretty deep. He offered and bigged up Threatin massively. I just thought they were flexing from overseas and thought nothing of it. Threatin was sound checking when we got there. Throughout the whole night, Threatin didn't approach anybody or talk to anyone but his own people. I heard him speak twice. Once when Robanus Studios shows up, because Threatin hadn't paid a backline here. And once again was a quiet thanks because I held a door open for him. Overall, everyone involved with him are very rude and ignorant. There were 13 people in the room when we played. The sound engineer, bartender, 10 people we brought, and one who actually got a ticket. Yeah.
Oh. The lengths some people will go to for vanity. It's insane.
And I just want to point this out here. I'm looking at these numbers. Our website gets more visitors than this. And we're basically nobodies, unfortunately, in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Hopefully that changes soon. I've got some plans that involves a monkey's paw and a Pandora's box. But even then, right now, we get more legit traffic to our site, our podcast, our articles, than this guy's getting at these shows. I feel a little bit proud of myself in this scenario.
I bet my site get more views than that motherfucker.
It probably does. You should probably take a look at your stats one day. But anyway, let's wrap up here, at least this segment of the story, with a post from the venue itself. We had a show last night where the singer had told everyone he had sold 150 tickets, which counts as sold out, to our small room. He had actually sold only one ticket. Just a reminder, this is how you get blacklisted, and I wouldn't advise anyone to lie about sales. Now, that was the original story. That is where we found out about, like, you know, some of the fakeness of the empty venues, the suspicious, fly footage. Also, the fact that there was interview videos where he's literally just speaking to a camera at no one in particular and making himself look like a vain son of a bitch. All on top of the fact that, have you actually listened to this guy's music? Well, I mean, you probably haven't, because according to Spotify, he only has 43 active monthly listeners.
Just 40.
Oh my
43.
goodness.
Oh
40.
my God.
Okay, I don't even get to see the analytics from my show, but I bet I have more listeners than that, which, Rob, hint, hint, fix that.
Sorry. I just wanted to check now, just to see what his numbers were now. And for some reason, now it says 2,630. But I bet most of those are just curious onlookers.
Mm-hmm.
Most indie rappers got more hits than that.
You sad bastards. But, yeah, so that's where things originally started. And at that point, keep in mind, this all broke over the weekend, so around November 8th, November 9th, and they were still scheduled to play a show November 11th in Belfast. And it looks like Jered attempted to cover his ass by deleting his personal Facebook page, as well as the Facebook page of the band. But now, let's continue further. Remember what we said about the fake booking agency, Stage Right Bookings? Well, obviously, again, as we all know, it was created by Jered himself, posing under the name of Casey. Casey whatever, who cares? Now, if you actually go to their website, yes, Stage Right Bookings has a website, the phoniness becomes pretty immediate if you're paying close attention. The page lists worldwide talent, American talent, US to Canada, and European talent. First off, your typical, booking website will not list bands like this. It'll be more convenient and just list, their roster worldwide with various points of contact for, whatever country you might want them to perform in. It's not very singular, you see. Now, on top of that, if you actually look through the artist names here, yes, there are artist names, it's very much like the cell phone footage. It's just off-kilter enough that it might seem plausibly real, but anyone taking a cursory glance using a little bit of brain power can, point out the holes here. So, check out these names that are with Stage Right Bookings. Michael Anthony, Newport,
What the
Brian Guy, Cars,
Wait,
Bill Nelson,
what?
The Remedy, Sunrise Station, Jellyfish, Strange Love, Fiona,
What the
Oh my god.
Youngbloods, which I assume they have an album called Disease. See, Youngblood's Disease. Braid, which I'm pretty sure is a video game. Ice Age, which I'm pretty sure is a series that's gone on way too long. Adam Gray. And for some reason, apparently Threatin is listed under the European roster. Which is weird because I thought this guy was based out of LA.
Okay, this sounds like
two
fake
things.
names.
One, actually, three things. One, wow, I thought Cars was dead.
Yeah, I know, right? I guess Joseph didn't do a good job.
And on that note, number two, half of these names sound like stands. And number three, the immediate red flag is Michael Anthony. Who is going to represent the bass player from Van Halen? Seriously.
Who even gives a shit about the bass player from Van Halen? That's the biggest question here of all.
These names sound like fit names you hear from The Simpsons or some shit like that. These names they fake. They sound like Jellyfish, Strangelove, Youngbloods, which Which what they recommend the back in the 2000s? Because I heard of them, but they got a Z at the end of theirs. But okay, you got names like Fiona. That sounds like that sounds like a Lord ripoff. or Cars, or Cars. I keep thinking that Gary Newman song for some reason. In Newport, can they somebody out the cigarette that most niggas use?
Yeah, that's like, yeah, it's like to your point. All of these names sound like they're Simpsons style spoofs of actual real celebrities. It's like, I'm surprised we don't see Jered Threatin anywhere here. But wait, let's continue. Not only is the booking agency Stage Right very phony, but there's also Superlative Music Recordings, the band's label, which is also fake as shit. Coincidentally, they represent nearly all of the same acts as Stage Right Booking, with the exception of one band called Damone, which according to Vince Neilstein, was actually a real band that unfortunately has been broken up for a decade. So even the one part of this that's actually real has that little wrinkle in the plan. And it's worth noting, as all this was going on, thankfully, someone on Twitter managed to get a screen cap of the, Superlative original history page, before it was deleted and replaced with something else. And, let's just go ahead and read this here. Superlative Music Recordings was founded in 1964 following the appearance of the Beatles on The Ed Sullivan Show. The British invasion created a boom in the industry, and Superlative Music Recordings was formed with the intent to find the next music sensation. The late 60s to early 70s saw the label focusing on the rock and roll, pop, and R&B as it developed into a driving force in the music industry. The mid-1970s was met with the rise of disco. The musical landscape began to shift, and Superlative refused to jump on the bandwagon of the latest dance trend. But wouldn't you say you were, pursuing pop and R&B, which is kind of dance... You know what, never mind. Where was I here? Staying true to its roots, and got a dock a point for using the wrong form of its... although there's tons of minor grammatical things that are pissing me off here. The company continued to develop as major exporter of rock and roll. Wow, was this proofread by the same person who did the NES Ghostbusters?
This is why you need. This is why you get somebody to proofread your shit, because they're the biggest help. And this was this.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to scam people out of money.
Editors, they're important for a reason. Having outlasted the trend, Superlative began to flourish with a succession of new wave releases in the late 70s and early 80s. In 1986, the company was rebranded as SMR. This led to a change in direction and a major overhaul of upper-level staff. Functioning as SMR, the company made its resurgence during the early 90s grunge era. There was a period of extreme growth for the company as it vastly expanded its roster and enhanced its distribution channels, and opened new office headquarters in New York, Los Angeles, and London. Okay, I'm already getting really pissed off because they used the wrong form of its 3 times. Following the decline of the grunge era in the mid-90s, the label shifted its focus from releasing new music to re-releasing back catalog material of legacy artists in new territories. In 2010, the company was reformed and referred back to its original Superlative Music Recordings image. From there, the label redirected its focus on releasing quality new music and continues to be a reputable mainstay in the music industry. Bitch, no one's ever even heard of you.
SMR?
Oh my
SMR. Wow, that sounds dangerously close to something that you know is on YouTube where they get real close like this. Sounds familiar?
Yeah. I would believe this if not for 2 big major flaws. 1, this looks like it was formatted in OpenOffice, and 2, this looks like it was made for an assignment at one of my classes at Full Sail.
Don't insult your classmates like that. They could do better than this. I'm sure of it.
Exactly. This would be an immediate F because, oh my god, this is just diarrhea of the mouth typed out onto a Word document. It's a bunch of nothing.
I'm amazed at no point do we see the phrase superlative music recordings proved the justice of our culture.
Oh.
And then when it got updated, we have a screenshot of that as well. And now, after he got his ass busted, this description just becomes more generic. Superlative Music Recordings was founded in 2006 by industry professionals John Nobal, who apparently is not related to music in the slightest, and Ken Burns. Wow, you're trying to drag Ken Burns into this.
Wait, Ken Burns?
The famous acclaimed documentary maker, and you're just using his name as like a generic fill-in for your scam. I don't have words. In a few short years, the company developed a diverse roster of artists and quickly established itself as one of the fastest-growing independent labels in the record business. The label employs an expert staff that provides a marketing-centered approach to artist development with in-house publicity, online new media marketing, tour publicity, and radio promotion. The label has been home to some of the most in-demand indie artists in the music business. With over 200 albums released, numerous top 40 hits, and over 10 million units sold, Superlative Music Recordings has become a reputable mainstay in the music industry. Now, with over a decade of success, Superlative Music Recordings operates internationally with offices in Los Angeles, New York, and London. Label's artists are distributed in over 20 countries. And yeah, this one is more generic, business, PR speak. And I just want to point out, okay, so 10 million units sold, 200 albums released, numerous top 40 hits. Their Facebook page has less than 2,000 likes. And apparently just a bunch of stock photos of other musicians. Or worse, real musicians who had their photos stolen for this stupid bullshit. And this apparently has nothing to do with an actual Superlative Recordings, which apparently their presence seems to be dedicated to like dance, deep house, and new disco type of stuff.
Okay, I just want to mention this really quick. I did a little bit of math, and this opens the fraud even more. So you have over 200 albums released, equating to over 10 million units sold. So, very quick, a platinum album is 1 million copies sold. A gold album is 500,000. 200 albums, 10 million units sold. That averages out to 50,000 albums or copies per album, which I could say 10 years ago would be all right. But nowadays, well, that would get you probably a top 10 spot on the Billboard 200. But still, that's pretty bad for any recording company, let alone a fake recording company.
Yeah, now as well, we're at the age of not many people buy physical copies anymore. Like it's all about them streams, boy.
Yeah, and you figured the stream would probably help their numbers so they could fudge the numbers a bit more. But whatever. And
numerous top 40 hits. Really?
Yeah. Unless this group is representing the Chainsmokers, then it's not happening.
Ew.
But yeah, looking even further into these connections, Threatin through the superlative thing has even tried to frame himself as having connections with publications and various retailers like the music retailer Rockabilia, the sponsors of Live Nation, Hot Topic, and Rockstar. Which is admittingly the most plausible part of the lie because Rockstar Energy Drink will sponsor anyone. By the way, Rockstar, if you're listening, call me. And even the publication NME, which it's worth noting, the piece we are drawing from here also has a link to a rather bitter expose about the whole thing. You could probably tell their newsroom was very, very pissed. And on top of all of that, these connections even include a fake association with a real-life German record label called SPV, which has handled distribution for a number of rather big-name artists, including, but not limited to, Cradle of Filth, Angra, Iced Earth, Helloween, Creator, Motorhead, Saxon, Sepultura, Typo Negative, and more. So I'm willing to bet these guys have pretty much never heard of this Threatin fellow, not unless, Lemmy spent a lot of time in the LA hard rock scene recently, which he probably hasn't.
I just want to make a quick mention of that record label's full name, as it's a subsidiary of, or actually it's partnered with Sony Music in Germany.
Right.
SPV is also known as Schallplatten Production und Vertrieb, GmbH.
Well, you made a game effort of that I would never dare to do, so I salute you, sir. Hell of a lot better than I probably would have said. So, yeah, that fake record label thing and that fake booking agency already sounds like a pretty wild rabbit hole. But wait! There's more! On top of all of that, diving down further down the rabbit hole, so deep that you need Frederick Knudsen to do the narration, reveals an entire faked press outlet to piggyback off this lie. You know, maybe the right wing is right. Maybe there's something to this whole fake news thing after all. The outlet is called Top Rock Press, and just taking a glimpse at their web design, this pretty much looks like paying the cheapest price possible with Wix or Squarespace. So, you know, you see the usual news like Tony Iommi on Black Sabbath's Farewell Tour, Axl Rose taking the piss out of Donald Trump, sales of Metallica's Hardwired to Self-Destruct. And
this site has not been updated in 2 years. My God, man.
Yeah, like, you could at least post something, like, from a few weeks ago before the tour to make it convincing. And again, looking at the press site itself, it lists support from, whatever that really means, NME, again, Alternative Press, Hot Topic, again, and Monster Energy. So wow, you just need Red Bull in there to complete the Triforce. And of course, the information here, the contact number listed is a dead number. The address for them lists a generic office building in San Francisco, and even the listed designers of the site, Universal Web Group, do not actually exist. Any attempts to search them redirects everything to the presence of Threatin. Even the featured artist tab, which only recognizes both Threatin and for some reason the Pretty Reckless. And this goes even further. Now, Mark, let me bring you into this. Let me ask you a question for a second. You've done a lot of writing in your time on this earth, correct?
Yes, I have.
So I assume you've taken, like, many writing classes, and I even heard you're looking to possibly major in writing at some point in the future?
Yes, I do.
Alright, so through your experiences, your various writing endeavors, I want to ask you this simple question. What is the one thing that you as a writer are never supposed to do? What is the cardinal sin that is frowned upon in any sort of writing context?
Well, my good friend, that's a little something I like to call, what was it? Is he drunk? No, it's called plagiarism.
Yeah.
That's right. There's plagiarism involved in this as well, because of course there would be. One of the news articles listed on Top Rock Press literally just went to the website Alternative Nation and copied and pasted an entire interview they did with Megadeth bassist David Ellefson. From, I forget who posted the article, but I know the interview was conducted by Charlotte Haynes. So credit to them, because you need that accreditation, because this fucker's stealing your shit. Literally, they didn't even change the byline at all. So, wow, this guy is such a douche. I'm expecting him to get fired from IGN soon.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, this actually came courtesy of Alternative Nation's Brett Buchanan, because we got this link in the Metal Sucks piece.
Absolutely. And of course, looking at Top Rock Press, the reviews tab goes absolutely nowhere except piggybacking a bunch of links from Metal Underground. And apparently there's a subscription page that vaguely alludes to, I don't even know, is it a magazine, an online newsletter? What the hell? And also apparently I believe this is the site that may have awarded them the Top Rock Artist of the Year award. Oh. Yeah, keep telling yourself that, buddy.
Oh boy.
Again, vanity. There's a reason why it's a deadly sin. Or maybe it isn't, I don't know.
And now we hit up yesterday, November 11th, well, yesterday from the day we're recording this, a few days when you're listening to this, the day of their scheduled show in Belfast. And at this point, 2 members of Threatin's live band just straight up quit. That would be guitarist Joe Primeira and drummer Dane Davis. They confirmed to multiple sources that they were pretty much, fucking off back to the US and leaving Jered with the bass player Gavin Carney. According to them, they were apparently lied to about the fake press outlets and the management and, the selling of shows. And they were apparently also forced to pay for their own food as well.
The fuckers!
And, I sort of get that to an extent, but, if you're hiring a live band for a solo act, and you have all this money, let them get some fucking fish and chips or something. Shit, you're playing in Camden, and according to Glenn Fricker, they have the best fish and chips on Earth, so come on.
Feed the motherfuckers.
But unlike Machine Head, these 2 guys, they're not sticking around for the rest of the tour. They flew back to the States.
Exactly. And it was probably worth it because the actual gig in Belfast was cancelled. Now, according to the venue, the Empire, the show was cancelled by Threatin's, quote, management. And while their appearance was cancelled, the venue offered to still host the show with the remaining bands on the bill, making admission free to the public. And here's the thing, at this point, a lot of you might be wondering, how did the venues agree to this? Don't you think they would be losing money on this if they didn't thoroughly vet and verify where this band's claims was coming from? Well, this is the one admittingly kind of smart thing about the plan. See, here's a little lesson for you about how booking shows at venues works. There's 2 ways that a show can be organized usually. One, the venue itself does it. They put together a bill of their choice, reaching out to bands and managers and stuff like that. And then, they pay the bands, either a flat fee or a percentage of ticket sales. Or maybe both if the venue's feeling really generous. And at this point, they pull together their profits from, the actual ticket sales, as well as just, selling whatever shit they have at the bar. Your beer, your fish and chips, your burgers, your beer, your mozzarella sticks, your chicken wings, your beer. Did I mention beer? Did I mention beer?
Yes, you mentioned beer quite a lot.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the other method, which is what Mr. Casey Marshall, the alias of Jered Threatin, if that even is his real name. So he acted as an outside promoter. Now, method number 2 is when the outside promoters decide to organize shows. Essentially what they do is, they go to the venue, they say, hey, what's the price for us to host a show here? They put together a billing of their choice, and basically they pay to rent out the space for the night, with the venue still, making up their profits through sales at the bar and presumably anything else that they might sell there and other services and all that. So that's basically what Threatin did, At the very least, he paid all the venues, so they had some money. So I guess they didn't have to verify too much because they still had some cash. Just to verify with a couple of accounts here. This first one is from Mark, an employee and presumed owner of the Asylum. Quote, we were one of the venues on the tour, and like the Underworld, the Asylum 2 venue was hired by Casey. The hire fee was paid in full months ago. When we asked for a ticket update, we were told its sales were $171. We decided to run the show for them. They all brought people, and with a little morbid curiosity as to what the whole charade was about. Probably the strangest show we have ever been involved with. They have basically paid a lot of money to rehearse, parentheses, they need it, at different venues around the UK. I love that shade, especially because Threatin fucking sucks. Oh my god, they suck so bad.
Oh.
And here's another quote from venue owner Patrice of the venue The Underworld, which is the first date of their tour. We actually hired the venue to this Casey Marshall. The €780 hire fee was paid in full in advance, so we didn't really bother to do background checks. We watched the YouTube video, was shocked that anybody would bother to hire the venue for this guy, but took the money and figured it was a day's work for our crew and staff. So this is basically as current as our information gets, although Mr. Alex here let me know of some last minute updates to this thing. More digging into this weird, confusing empire.
Yeah, so we had a bit of a late update courtesy of, let me pull the name here, Mr. Robert Paspani of Metal Injection. Thank you for your coverage on this insanity as well. And, well, two things. One, there is a quote-unquote live footage video, which is just the band playing in an empty room, which I have not watched. I do not want to prove myself to that kind of crap because, well, quite frankly, if I want to listen to a couple of guys play knockoff music, I'll just listen to some Greta Van Fleet.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But there is one note. A venue in Belfast, Ireland, the Belfast Empire, they were supposed to have a show there, but it was canceled last minute. So the Empire decided to send out a tweet telling the following. If you purchase tickets for tonight's Threatin show, both of you can get refunds from the point of purchase.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I love that shade. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. But they decided, you know what? The show must go on with the opening bands playing for free. Quote from their Facebook page. Just before 2 p.m. today, Jered Threatin's management canceled his performance at Empire Music Hall tonight. As yet, no reason has been offered. I think we know why, but continuing on. Staff have been scheduled to work tonight, a sound engineer has been booked, and 2 support acts, Perry Apt and Red House, have gone to a lot of trouble to play tonight. Because of this, we have decided to have the gig anyway. Admittance will be free of charge. So, good on you. Good on you guys. You're getting some local bands out there, getting them some exposure, and people are coming out to have a good time. Good stuff.
And also worth noting, also from like some recent news updates, apparently this actually, the whole Threatin, fake identity thing, apparently dates back much further than this, because someone got their hands on records of Wikipedia moderators getting into like beefs with presumably, Jered himself over edits to the page, to like a Threatin a Wikipedia page to make them sound really fucking huge. And wow, this guy even went through like the Wikipedia route, which, I mean, he does realize Wikipedia isn't a super credible source of information. Sometimes you can edit it to say anything.
Yeah.
You usually people like you link things, you link things from actual factual shit to Wikipedia, so they, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? They post things of shit that actually does have facts, not just, it's basically if you're doing a project,
people can usually verify this stuff. Like,
yeah.
I mean, look, I know we've been like linked on Wikipedia a few times in a couple various occasions, but like even then, we're still like a more legit source than some vanity project. If Threatin even is your real birth name on your certificate, # show us the birth certificate. And like, holy shit, this whole thing was just a wild trip and a half. And I was just sitting there with like, I was staring at like Twitter just with bated breath just to see how much more like came out of this. Because seriously, watching this actual tour video, that was such like, I had a Nash moment. I was like, but wait, there's video. And oh my god, this is pathetic. It's so empty. The only person you can see up on the stage is the photographer. And you just know she's there, like, she's taking pictures, but she's standing there wondering, is my career really worth this?
There is a little bit more because, well, it seems that Threatin here got one piece of merch sold, courtesy of a member of the band Aeonia, at Aeonia Band, quote, "Oh hey, that's me, Mel, and my keyboardist, Tim. Promoter, quote unquote, sent us free tickets so we came. Actually bought a t-shirt because I felt bad they come so far to put it to people. Didn't know all about the fake stuff till the next day. And this shirt, oh my god, this shirt is pretty much what you would think of when you want a knockoff Dream Theater album cover. It rips off Awake, When Dream and Day Unite, Images and Words, all into one. It's amazing. It's amazingly cringy.
I just, wow, this whole thing is, I know we make this joke a lot, and we said it with Fire Festival, but this really is, like, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Like, maybe this was the actual season finale. Like, maybe the Wednesday finale was just a fake out. Although I will admit, Mac dancing to Sigur Rós was very impressive.
Yes. But there's still more, because while
It keeps getting better. This is like a Billy Mays commercial.
While Jered Threatin has locked his Twitter account because the jig is up, it looks like he's got a burner account in the form of @ThreatinFanClub, who have said the following. And I will say this. Here is the pin tweet. Anyone who illegally trolls Jered Threatin will be reported to the cyber police and the state police. Consequences will never be the same. You have been warned.
Dude, oh my god, we're bringing back the Jesse Slaughter.
Oh, sounds like a damn teenager wrote this shit.
Fuck.
It's just as less threatened. It's just as less threatened as Angel Wright would say.
There's still more. Oh god, there's still more. There have been some pretty salty ass replies here.
Oh Lord.
I'll just read two of them here.
Oh Lord.
Threatened gigs have all been great, actually. Only fake haters are spreading illegal gossip trying to ruin the tour. Yeah, like those accredited journalists from Metal Injection and Metal Sucks and the BBC, although that was more for the venue than anything else, but still. And there's more. This was replying to an empty venue picture. Quote, Threatin rocking a sound gig before the check. This was just a sound check pic taken by a paparazzi. The actual gig rocked the house down. The fans went crazy. See for yourself on the upcoming shows. Like the one in Belfast that got canceled.
Okay.
God. Oh, and there's more. Another reply here. Fail? Really? Threatin have just rocked up over 1 trillion views on YouTube.
1 trillion?
Okay, like, let's actually go to... Wait, did he say Facebook or YouTube?
YouTube.
Okay, let's go to YouTube for a second. Let's look up Threatin Band. The most viewed video here is literally just the music video for the song Living is Dying, which I just want to point out. When I actually went to listen to this song out of curiosity, the first recommended video in the sidebar was Sons of Apollo, and I clicked off to that shit after like 2 minutes. This
Also,
is
Living
bad.
is Dying.
And it only has 1 million views.
Yeah. Oh, there's a couple more interesting replies in here. Clearly, this guy has taken a lot of lessons from the Republican Party. Here's something from The Guardian. Threatin. Band creates fake fan base for tour attended by no one. Reply. Fake news! All the gigs rocked ass. Chicks were going crazy. Another one from this one guy. Once this whole Threatin viral PR campaign is over, we'll find out he's some black metal musician starting a new career. The reply. Black metal is illegal and racist Nazi music. Okay, that's pretty racist to Germany. Although black metal isn't really in Germany, so that's doubly racist.
Straight up.
Oh my god. Yeah, so, what the hell even is all this? Are we in an episode of Black Mirror all of a sudden?
Oh man, that would be... You know, you see that, but imagine, like, the showrunners picking, like, news of this up. I mean, I do believe Black Mirror was originally a UK show, and I think its showrunners are still in the UK, so maybe this news hit their territory. Black Mirror Season 5, it could always happen.
Oh my god. To think. I learned about this from a video put up by our favorite Canadian sound music producer, Glenn Fricker, a couple days ago, and I was looking at this, and I'm just going, this can't be real. There's no way this can be real. And then I dug deeper, and I went, oh my god, this is actually real. Somebody actually tried to pull off this scam.
So, what did we learn this week, kids? Well, probably
Don't
nothing.
Scam people?
But holy shit, the fucking nerve of this guy. I'm almost impressed with how far he put this, but like, what was the plan here exactly? Like, I mean, okay, so he goes as far as to purchase fake likes on Facebook, fake, attendance on Facebook events as well. You know, I highly doubt Brazilians are going to go all the way to Bristol for a show. Makes a fake news website, fake booking agency, fake record label, fake, like, he tries to fake all this shit, just all this coming together, and he didn't think at any point that he would get caught as soon as the shows actually started.
Yeah. Oh, and as an addendum, here it is. It's on the BBC. And, yeah. My god. You actually made the BBC. Congratulations.
Wow.
You are just low life of low lifes.
The last time something this dumb hit the BBC, Luigi was killed by death. That actually happened, never forget.
And yeah, there's more of it here. Vulture, The Independent, Louder, Alternative Press, like I said, The Guardian, Stereo Gum, Consequence of Sound, the AV Club. It's everywhere. It's spreading pretty far.
This is magic. This is... You know, I feel bad because I know nothing this... Like, I think I said it with the Fire Festival that nothing this good could ever happen again, but it happened again. I hope this becomes like a yearly tradition with us, where we get to cover just this level of monumentally stupid scamming by a musician, because this is fun. This brings me so much joy in a world full of hellfire and screaming and awfulness. Thank you, Jered Threatin, if that is your real name. Thank you so much for the entertainment factor. Because it's a hell of a lot more entertaining than your actual music.
God, yes,
he's lame.
Yes, you petulant shit. How old is this motherfucker? Because he sounds like he's, 18 or 20 or some shit?
Probably like in his late 20s or 30s.
He's still a child. Because he acts like a little bitch.
Very much. Very much a child. Yeah, as you can tell, we didn't want to dwell on that too much because, you know, one of those times when you just want to immediately get to the last part of your show just because you're trying to inch it forward. It's like this is the equivalent of Sean Evans trying to push an interview closer and closer to the moment of the last dab. Yep, we're not done with this shit just yet. It's time for Threatin 2, Electric Boogaloo. For as you see, there were more developments in this story that extended in the hours during and after the recording of last week. Let me just take a sip of water real quick.
And this a big ass full of bitches, a big ass list of what went on next.
So, last time on the Threatin story, as we previously mentioned, once all the news about Jered's fake media empire got loose, Joe Primeira and Dane Davis both ended up quitting the tour. Now, Dane was able to stay with family, specifically his brother and mother, in Ireland until his plane ticket, that was purchased by Mr. Threatin, was able to be used to fly back to the States, while Joe had the financial means to fly back almost immediately. Unfortunately, bassist Gavin Carney was stuck hanging out with this shirtless douche until the end of the tour. And when the news broke, they were staying at this rented house in Belfast. And, yeah, pretty much at this point, like, when Dane left, there was even, like, a Facebook posted video message from him commenting on, you know, the event itself. Just a whole lot of, thank you for understanding that I'm so sorry about this. I had nothing to do with this. I was fooled just as much as you are. And you know what? I believe him, if the stories and interviews are supposed to be believed. And of course, continuing, the fake media empire expands even further than we first thought. Alright, so Iwin Best, the venue manager of the exchange, discovered a lot of the fakeness around the various sites, which not only includes the fake PR, the fake, record label, the management agency, and, the press release, but also they found a fake music video production company, Glass Castle Films, Magnified Media PR, another fake press site, a fake studio, Mindframe Studios, and, New York Music Review and Celebrity Music Scene, just all fake, fake, fake. Apparently all of these were linked to the same GoDaddy account, so we know who he does business with. And so yeah, that gets us caught up here with our first big chunk of information here, which was an exclusive Metal Sux interview with Joe Primeira about how he got involved in, with the band in the first place. As he tells it all started when he received a Facebook friend request from a representative at Aligned Artist Management, followed with the message, "Hi Joe, my name is Lisa Golding. I am an artist manager at Aligned Artist Management in Beverly Hills, California. We have a signed hard rock artist on our roster that is looking for a new rhythm guitarist for their upcoming tour in Europe this November. After seeing some videos of your playing, I believe you would be a good fit. If you are interested, I would like to set you up with an audition/meeting with the band in Los Angeles. Let me know if you are available and I'll send you the details. Best, Lisa Golding, Aligned Artist Management." Now, of course, Joe was a bit curious about this, given that he had very little presence on YouTube at the time, so he's not even sure how they even found him in the first place. But overall, he wasn't too concerned. He got in touch with Lisa over the phone, who eventually directed him to start emailing a Joe Abrams, who invited him to the rehearsal proper. And apparently he beat out the other two guitarists in attendance, but was evidently weirded out by the fact that Lisa and Joe were not there. Instead, there was Jered and his wife, Kelsey, who was likely posing as Lisa over the phone. And, every time he asked about something, he was told to email Joe, but, Joe eventually, dissipated in the months, following afterwards. Funnily enough, what makes this name funny is that last week we brought up that there was a dispute with moderators of Wikipedia over attempts to create a proper Threatin Facebook page, and the alias that they were arguing with was Lisa Golding. So whether this particular instance, the Wikipedia page, was either, Kelsey or Jered posing as Lisa, it could be both. Who knows?
So this guy is married.
I
have several questions.
My best guess, 2 words. Vegas wedding.
Yeah.
And drunk?
That's 1 word. That's even better. Now, as he describes it, there was a fairly rigorous rehearsal schedule up to the point of the European tour, including rehearsing 4 times a day during the week before the tour. However, despite all this time together, they knew very little about Jered himself. Quote, "He moved out of the Midwest, and basically he's been doing it ever since all on his own. Other than that, I don't really know anything about his background or his upbringing or anything like that. They don't live lavishly or anything like that. It's just a typical house for a young couple and everything. I never got the impression he was really wealthy, which is weird considering the amount of money they needed to pull the scam off. Now, the tour actually begins, and it turns out, you know how Jered lied about selling 150 to 200 tickets per venue? Turns out he lied to his bandmates and said that they would be playing venues with 1,000 to 1,500 seats. That's triple the lie at least. And so, that obviously was discouraging, but as the performances went on, they noticed something really suspicious about Kelsey. She functioned multi-purpose as the photographer, videographer, their stagehand, and the merch woman for the group. Although she only ever seemed to focus the camera on Jered himself. And in fact, you might actually have seen her because she was the woman that was photographing the band in the live footage that was posted to the Metal Sux YouTube channel. And more bullshit, as it turns out, the $300 that they were paid, they were apparently paid money at the beginning of the tour, apparently that was solely meant to cover food expenses and nothing else.
Oh, that's
Damn.
That's a big red flag when you're just giving money for food and not, transportation, lodgings, anything.
Yeah.
As I say, you need more than just food, even though food's good too. You need all that shit to keep your band, keep them happy and shit and good, and make sure they perform good.
Plus, maybe they just want to buy something nice for their family back home while they're touring. Maybe they want to buy some fancy chocolates or something for their mom. Get them money to buy something nice for their family who probably won't ever get to travel out here. Come on.
Come on, man, you dead Mr. Krabs motherfucker.
Exactly. Now, according to the situation, the Threatins were evidently very private and kept to themselves, but despite this, they watched the group like a hawk. Quote, "They wanted to keep us close by and under wraps. One morning, the three of us went down to breakfast and then went next door to get groceries, and when we returned, we got yelled at for not knowing where we were and straying from the group. We were expected to keep close and for them to know where we were at all times. In London, we went to the shops in Camden, and we stuck together as a group. It would have been nice to be treated as an adult. Be back here by a certain time."
What the fuck? Wait,
Another red flag. Talking to your bandmates like they're children.
Yeah.
What the hell? I mean, they yelled at for saying, why you been? We need food, motherfucker. You ain't feeding us. What the hell? Like, yeah,
and
even is Mr. Krabs. What the fuck?
And that's not even the worst part, because according to other various sources, evidently he threatened that they had to stay together according to a strict tour itinerary, or else apparently their passports would have been revoked. How? Why? I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
That's impossible.
What in hell?
Clearly.
A guy could take a passport away, but he can't legally revoke them. And that's not how it works. God, this guy's an idiot.
So now let's move on to the actual day of the conflict. At this time, Davis had visited his family to discuss the situation when he heard about it, leaving Primeira and Carney to actually directly confront Jered and Kelsey. Because, Davis is apparently trying to be as unconfrontational as possible. Now, again, quote from, Primeira here. "I'm the guy..." Oh, no, wait. This is Threatin's response when they were confronted. "I'm the guy. I'm the artist. I just show up and play. Everyone else takes care of the other stuff." Now, according to Joe, he was very adamantly going on and on and on about how he's the victim, they're all making this up, the record label exists, how could it be fake if the Scorpions are on the label? He continuously dodged the issue, especially when they asked for the manager's phone number, because he was apparently only in contact with Joe Abrams by email. Now, this might sound like familiar behavior, this narcissistic, it's everyone else's fault, I'm just doing what I'm told, man. Blaming everyone else from a narcissist who can't accept personal responsibility for his own actions. I'm just gonna throw this out there. I checked Jered's Twitter account when he finally reactivated it. He follows Jordan Peterson.
Oh,
good.
He one of them niggas. Damn.
Yeah.
Everything is clicking into place. Now, despite the nature of the confrontation, he readily accepted Primeira and Davis's resignations, with Primeira flying back to Vegas, to work his job where he apparently does a stage lighting and, AV video kind of stuff for, I believe, the Wynn Las Vegas Resort. I forgot to actually mark that here, but I believe that's the name of the place was. Although he seems to have a good sense of humor about the whole thing, feeling more invigorated to work on his own solo stuff as well. So, good for him. He seems like the kind of guy who could do this stuff legit.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have another interview here, this one with Dane Davis himself, courtesy of a UK publication called Classic Rock, who gives a very similar perspective on how this all came together. He was in contact with Lisa and Joe. He met up with Jered and company for rehearsals and practice, with seemingly nothing off at first. According to him, originally they were told that the tour would be US and Canada before being told it was just only Europe. The $300 was only for the food. His mother and brother actually bought tickets for the tour. Not to mention the breakfast incident, and this is the mention of the supposedly strict tour itinerary. And as soon as things started getting wonky over here, throughout the tour, Jered kept claiming the production company was not doing their job right, And the way Davis found out was they were apparently 2 hours away from Ireland on a trip via ferry, and he found out by scrolling through messages on his phone, and so everything proceeds from there. And so those are the two interviews that shed light on their perspective on the situation. Now, before we go into the next major part of this, a quick aside here. As this was all going on, Metal Injection obtained some very interesting footage of how exactly Jered accomplished this, to, give you an idea. They got footage of a Russian news outlet showing off a, quote, click farm, specifically in China, just to kind of give an idea of how this whole, buying a fan base works. Apparently what it is there's this, office building. There's a couple of people in there, and there are racks in there that are lined full stop, fully lined up with various smartphones, iPhones, Samsungs, and all that stuff, that have all been pre-programmed to, like YouTube videos, give them views, send out fake RSVPs, events, likes, Spotify streams, all that stuff. And, Alex says the Black Mirror stuff, but I'm not anti-technology, but watching this clip specifically, it really does feel like Black Mirror. There's just something really creepy about seeing, a wall of, smartphones just all running away automatically. It's it's really creepy.
Yeah. This is pretty shady stuff, although, given the state of current affairs nowadays, it's not that far-fetched to think about.
That is true. And yeah, of course, the one in the news report mentions it was in China, but these kind of things basically exist everywhere, including Brazil, which was, of course, the one where Jered, found, that's obviously whoever he paid to inflate his statistics. Now let's move on to the real meat of the question, because on November 13th, a tweet was posted by Mr. Jered himself. He reactivated his account and pretty much began to taunt the press. Here's his 3 tweets in particular here. So, November 13th, he tweets, Jered threatened to make, quote, fake official statement tomorrow. Smiley face. He then proceeds to tag BBC News, NME, Alt Press, Metal Sux, Metal Injection, and BBC News. And no, you're not mishearing that. For some reason, he tagged BBC News twice.
That's stupid.
Apparently.
But wait, there's more.
November 14th. The day after, here is the quote-unquote statement. Or at least so we think. What is fake news? I turned an empty room into an international headline. If you are reading this, you are part of the illusion. Hashtag marketing, hashtag psychology, hashtag social media, hashtag fake news, hashtag threaten, hashtag breaking the world, hashtag music industry, at NBC News, at BBC News, at Joe Rogan for some fucking reason, at Rolling Stone, at Billboard. And it's worth noting, there's the text of the tweet with 2 pictures. One that's literally just a picture printed with the words of the tweet, and then a picture of him staring into a broken shard of mirror from his ever so gloriously produced music video for Living is Dying.
So many damn hashtags.
Yeah, and by the way, Joe Rogan is that guy who does that one podcast and does commentary for UFC, in case you're wondering. I don't know why he tagged him, but apparently he's one of those, super bro douche guys.
Well, I mean, remember, Rogan had Elon Musk, and he has all kinds of alt-right douchebags on his podcast. Maybe he figures he can get a cheap promotional stunt out of this. And then, of course, there was, Go ahead.
Yeah, when he says you're reading part of the illusion, he seems disillusioned. He don't seems I don't know, disillusion because he know what the fuck I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
That is very, very true. And of course, one last response we got was on November 16th, the last day of the tour, now that I think about it, when he said, quote, I couldn't fit a, quote, non-fake official statement in under 280 characters or less. Hashtag part of the illusion, hashtag fake news, hashtag threaten, hashtag breaking the world, hashtag what is real.
Oh my God! Stop
Obviously
with the
your
dumbass
career's
stuff.
not.
Stop with the damn
I'll just say
hashtags.
this from Mark Holcomb of Periphery. I want a Threatin movie. I think we all do.
Hear, hear. Who knows,
play
maybe we
him?
can get Tommy Wiseau to direct it.
They betray me. They didn't keep their promise. They are using me, and I'm the fool. My God, this really is the room.
Man.
Pretty much. Anthony Fantana was on the ball about that. But amidst all of this, amidst all this taunting and all the fallout from this, there's obviously been one question that's been burning on everyone's mind. Who the fuck even is this guy? Seriously, like, there's no way a fucker like this comes out of nowhere this spectacularly. Like, Jesus, keep in mind, this information reached up as far up as the fucking New York Times. So you have to wonder who the fuck even is this Jered Threatin, if that is his real name. Well, thankfully, as always, the ever-diligent Vince Neilstein at Metal Sux gathered up all the information about this guy to collate into a nice, singular place. And as it turns out, Threatin is not even his real name. Jered, on the other hand, is, with that unusual spelling. So, let's delve into the bio here. So, his real birth name is Jered Eames. E-A, M as in mother, E-S. He comes from the town of Moberly, Missouri, a small little place about 40 miles out from Columbia with a population under 14,000. He's 29 years old and currently lives in Hesperia, California, which is 80 miles out from downtown LA. Now, prior to Threatin, he actually did have a previous project before this. He was the sole recording member and live bassist for a short-lived black metal act called Satith, which released 2 EPs in 2007 and 2010. Hell, they even got some press from a Blabbermouth article in 2010 about them that said they signed with Rising Records, and you can even find an EPK of theirs on ourstage.com saying they have an association with, you guessed it, SVP Records. So that was the one part from his past career that he was trying to hinge on the lie there. You can even find a 2012 endorsement that he obtained with Roto Sound bass strings, which was also the same year he moved out to LA, but not, and that was the point where Satith broke up, but not before forming some rather odd connections. Odd as in, it's amazing that these people didn't notice, like, almost right away. So, let's start right up at the top. Supposedly, he alleges that he was a bassist in the band Abigail Williams in 2010, having recorded on their album In the Absence of Light of that same year. However, a cursory glance of the metal archives, of course, confirms that the bassist during that time period was, of course, Ken Sorceron, who has done quite a bit of big-name stuff, perhaps most recently as the lead vocalist on the Faceless's most recent album, In Becoming a Ghost. Now, there was actually a Facebook post from Sorceron related to all this as soon as the news broke out. Quote, OMG! This guy was in Abigail Williams for like a week in 2010. The other day I literally thought to myself that he looked suspiciously a lot like the dude, but then I thought there was no way that was him, but it's actually him! I feel like I won the lottery or something. Man, this explains so much. Shade, man. Shade.
Wow.
Some other connections that Satith had. One of their past members was live guitarist Gian Pyers. And if that name sounds familiar, he spent 6 years through 2 different stints as a live guitarist for Cradle of Filth. And not only was there that, but their live drummer was listed as a Dwayne Timlin, who has played with many acts, perhaps most notably the drummer of Dying Fetus, having played on their 2007 album War of Attrition, which is a good album. You should all listen to it. That's some good brutal death. Of course, there's also the matter of one of the other members of the band, actually Jered's brother, Scott Eames, who currently plays with the project Thy Antichrist along with his own fronted project Navalra. And if you look at Satith's performance history, you know, they weren't the hugest thing, but they managed to get some fairly decent spots on some shows, it would seem like. They got some spots for some major touring acts, including the Black Dahlia Murder, Monstrosity, Cannibal Corpse, and the Faceless in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in April 2009, and even the summer 2008 edition of the Summer Slaughter Tour, again in Milwaukee, which also featured the Black Dahlia Murder, alongside Cataclysm, Vader, Cryptopsy, The Faceless, Aborted, Born of Osiris, Whitechapel, and more. Now, looking at all of this, you can already see the egotism sort of bursting forward. Jered was very much the sole focus of much of the group's promotional imagery, as you could tell by the hilariously awful photo available on Metal Archives. There's the bass endorsement as well, which who really needs that at such a low, fame level as he is? And even selling custom signature Satith guitar picks, complete with his signature on one of them.
Okay.
Oh boy.
I'll say it again. Vanity. Not even once.
Speaking of vanity, he once claimed to have toured in Puerto Rico in 2011, even though this was really just one show in San Juan. And, to be fair, looking at all the collated pictures here from his old Facebook and MySpace pages, it seemed like there were some decently sized crowds there. Certainly a hell of a lot more than any of the UK Threatin shows, that's for sure. This is almost close to the amount of people he was promising. And, before we move on to another interview part here, there's one part of the story that's actually just plain kind of sad. Scrolling through Jared Eames' personal Facebook, a comment was found from his father, Jerry Eames, who reveals that apparently they've been estranged since 2012. Jerry Eames commented on a post from December 6, 2010. And the comment is evidently 47 weeks old, which implies basically December of last year. He comments, quote, "Love you both. Call. Miss you two a lot. Lost touch. Anyone who knows Jared or Kelsey Eames, have them give family a call." Wow, this just got even more infuriating. Get in touch with your dad, asshole.
I miss you.
And yeah, so at this point we basically confirmed that Kelsey and Jared are in fact married. So at least that part's not fake.
Well, I mean, let's hope they're, married in the traditional sense and not, that kind of sense. Obviously.
And we have another interview here that sheds some more life on the, more light. What did I say? Light on the Satith era, courtesy of an exclusive Metal Sux interview with Scott Eames himself. So, as we said, they have not spoken since 2012, right around the time Jared moved to LA. And Scott himself was caught off guard by the sudden barrage of Threatin news. To paraphrase the article, he was checking Facebook November 9th, and when the information caught his eye, he, quote, shut off the screen to his phone, took a deep breath, turned to his girlfriend, and said, "I just found my brother." What I wouldn't give to be a fly on the wall during that moment. I bet, in the seconds after, he just turned to the camera like Michael Scott in The Office. Just, you can't see it right now, but I'm doing the face. Now, according to him, he was completely shocked by the complete 180 with Jared's current career path. Quote, "I'm a pretty level-headed guy, but I'm into the dark stuff and very extreme evil and things like that. That is exactly who he was too. Bands like Behemoth excited us together. Years ago, he would laugh at what he's put out now. I don't even understand the music that he's tried. It's not the guy I know. To me, it seems like he's reaching with an act of desperation of, I'm going to LA to make it."
After all.
Of course, and as we all know, when the news reached, he immediately distanced himself from his brother and, tried to get into contact with his parents about the information, who were, quote, sad but not surprised. Scott was naturally a witness to Jared's ego trips during the Satith era. Quote, "As soon as we started to get somewhere, his ego inflated enough to where he kind of expected to be treated like something special, even at family events and dumb places like that. We had released the second album for Satith, and when it came back, he had taken credit for some of the stuff he hadn't done. Just like online, it says that he was the sole recording member of Satith. He tracked bass and some of the keyboards, but the rest of it, the guitars and all the vocals, was me, and of course the drums were the drummer. Now, Scott left Satith, because of all this, causing Jered to delete everything related to his brother and the band. Quote, "If he's watching from afar, like I said, I hate to be a contributing factor, but maybe he hit the panic button because I was getting somewhere he wasn't." Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
Now, he alleges that the family has no history of mental illness or any sort of criminal activity. And, in fact, Scott still seems to have a sort of begrudging respect for his brother and his pure abilities as a musician. Quote, "He's an insanely good bass player. He isn't just good. I mean, for real,
Okay,
if he sat down..."
Hold on. I gotta stop you right there. We all saw that Cringing with Threatin video. There was that B-roll of him playing the bass. It is the worst technique I've ever seen. Textbook rule number 2. So I don't know what he's talking about with this.
Seriously, I saw that video and I was like, I would make a joke about deathcore bassists, but even they have better form than this. At least they're using a fucking pick. But anyway, that gets even weirder when you read the rest of the quote. "If he sat down and showed you what he could do, Victor Wooten kind of stuff, I just wish he put that much energy into doing it legitimately." So he's comparing his brother to one of the all-time bass greats. I'm still picturing that form. That horrible finger form.
Okay, I know he seems to have some respect for his brother, even though he's still, a bitch. It's like, and from what I hear from y'all saying he's not good, it's like, good, he's your brother, you still love him, but yeah, like, even people know that, most people know that his, bass playing is shite.
Well, he said that he's actually somewhat open to making amends with his brother. It's just that Jered would have to initiate and, actually take some personal responsibility for his awful bullshit. Which, given what we've seen about how he's responded to all this, that is so not happening.
In other words, never.
Jeez. Now, he very much seems confused by, how all the money came together for this. According to him, his views of Jered and Kelsey's financial situation, as far as I know, they were just like everybody else, just getting by. Nobody is bankrolling him or any of that stuff. I guess just throw it on a credit card and figure it out later. Now, despite all of this, possibly tainting his own name and reputation, Scott is still very much on the grind with his various music projects, which, hats off to you, man. Hopefully that all works out for you, and you actually earn the legitimate fans that your brother wishes he had.
Yeah.
And that's basically everything else there is to report on the Threatin story as of this moment. Naturally, we are all still waiting for the last big part, hopefully inevitable, when a couple of the venues eventually sue his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Fingers crossed.
Anything can happen.
And once again, what have we learned today? Absolutely nothing, except this guy is a fucking self-absorbed douche. And call your dad!
Yeah. Yeah, call your dad, because some of us can't.
So, we will see where this goes and keep you updated if any new information emerges. So, now, for our last topic, we can get to the gun that I unsurreptitiously jumped earlier. We have one last loose end to tie up with this whole Threatin saga. Now, we pretty much blew through everything at this point. Every scrap of information, every fake outlet, the statements from various members of the band, whether it be through interviews or Threatin himself grandstanding on Twitter like he pulled a fast one on everyone. But there's one thing we kind of forgot to, one thing that kind of got lost in the mix of all of this. Where was the statement from the bassist? Because, as you may all recall, Mr. Gavin Carney was stuck up in Europe with Mr. Threatin. He was the only one that didn't immediately bail once all this shit hit the fan. And we're bringing it up now because the man has uploaded a video statement onto YouTube, giving his whole perspective on the whole Threatin fiasco. And, I'm just going to say it. Blink twice if Jered is behind the camera. That's the only thing that basically makes his whole statement make sense. First off, this isn't related to anything, but what the fuck is this dude's aesthetic even? Like, okay, he's got like a lime green shirt, tie, and suit jacket, but he's got like this really weird, super tight ponytail that the way it's strapped over his shoulder kind of makes it look like he was wearing a pair of suspenders that broke. I don't know. This doesn't fit any conception I can think of for like a hard rock musician. He looks more like an Amish kid who just discovered hard rock for the first time. But, that's just me being a douche. Let's get to the actual content of his statements. Now, just skirting across some of the bigger details in order. Much like the other two guys in the band, he was just kind of, a hired gun for this whole thing. He claims that he didn't feel conned by everything, believing that Jered evidently held no responsibility for the ticket sales. And he also never met anyone else outside of the other bandmates and Jered and Kelsey, but he thinks it seems legit because he was always on, like, the phone and stuff with, like, managers and stuff. Seemed legit, sure. Now, as for why he stayed, he claims to stay of his own volition. He could have contacted his parents for money, but he just decided to wait things out anyway. He did leave the day before the last show, though, I believe, so, heck, even Jered and Kelsey offered to pay his ticket home, so apparently they had money for that, but they didn't have money to pay them more so they could get, like, souvenirs for their family back home, goddammit. The thing that made him eventually want to go back was that his family got very concerned after reading all the news posts and even Jered's fake news tweets. His impression of Jered, as he says, is that he's a very talented musician, saying that the two of them even got into a bass slap battle during the early days of rehearsal, and apparently Jered has, quote, fusion chops on drums. The guy who has horrible bass playing form apparently can do fusion on drums, whatever that means. He has no idea why Jered would lie about all of this, and he even claims that Jered had physical ailments while playing and touring. And it's like, I don't know why a guy with, like, physical ailments would lie about a thing like that. It just doesn't seem like something he would do. And he even says, and this is the kicker here, this is the Stockholm Syndrome moment, I feel, even if it turns out everything is false, he would still work with Jered again. Even using the phrase, quote, whatever the truth may be. Even though, dude, there is so much evidence.
Yeah.
So much evidence. Everywhere.
This is making my head hurt. Oh.
It's right in front of you. It's
Okay.
clear as day.
I understand that we live in a society that has our people in charge completely ignoring and disavowing factual evidence of pretty much everything. But this is a guy who should be smarter than this. This is a guy who should be more observant to all the things going on and realize, this is kind of shady. I should probably get out. Not try and go, well, if I had a second chance, I'd do it all over again. I hope Glenn Fricker sees this and prints up 1 million more Rule Number 2 shirts, because this guy, oh boy, Rule Number 2 personified.
And make sure to mail him a copy as well.
Yeah.
Wow, just, jeez. What's it gotta take with these people? Damn. But it is what it is. Well, so at this point, that's basically everything for now. Unless Threatin actually gets hit with a lawsuit in the next week or so. So, that is the end. The well's all tapped out, and I can finally put all this stuff together into a big fuck-off compilation for the YouTube channel.
Well, when we still have the impending lawsuits from the venues, that will surely happen. And I'm sure there's going to be at least one more gotcha moment from Mr. Jered Threatin. If that even is his real name, which it isn't.
like I said, we will keep you all in touch. So,
Well, I mean, of course, how else do you make a living in the UK? By being a DJ. I mean, it's not like you can succeed there by booking a series of shows at various venues where no one shows up at. Speaking of which, previously on Decibel Boost.
in 2019, to cover all the good shenanigans that will be happening. For example, wait, hold up, fucking Threatin again? We still have to deal with this douchebag. Again, it's already...
You fuck.
2019.
Yep, that's right, folks. We got some unfinished business here. Breaking. Over our break from weekly podcasting, we just had to get more developments in the saga of Mr. Jered Eames, also known as Threatin. And I still feel like an idiot every time I have to say that name. Now, unfortunately, this is not a lawsuit. Not yet, anyway. But hopefully this will be the last we'll have to speak on it in substantial chunks for sure, because god damn, this just gets more stupid. So, yeah, as we left off last time, he was taunting the press over his whole fake tour thing, and there was like 1 or 2 interviews with his various extended family members, but now it seems like we actually have information courtesy of Threatin himself, courtesy of 2 different profiles and interviews with him, one from Rolling Stone magazine and one from the BBC. And of course, they paint a, bad picture of the guy because he's kind of a douche. So, let's do this damn thing for the last time. First, let's start off with the Rolling Stone profile. You know, interviewing him about, the whole thing. There's a lot of golden quotes from him in this, including, "There was no way that I was going to get enough attention being a rock artist in 2018 unless I did something to get people to pay attention." Wow, you think?
You mean being not Imagine Dragons wasn't enough? You had to do something even stupider?
Clearly. And then it just kind of goes into recounting, the piece from there. It mentions, how everything unraveled at the exchange, even naming that bartender Jonathan Minty Minto was the one that was digging through his online presence during his suspiciously empty set. "It's a publicity stunt," he says, "but the music is very real." Quote from Threatin. He goes through recapping his small-town origins in, Moberly, Missouri. His dad worked as a drug and alcohol counselor. The first thing you would see in driving through town is a hill with a grave on it. And even though he was in status with his brother, and they were considered a brother band, as the article describes it, they apparently became, Moberly's version of Oasis.
Okay. And that made Alex, cringe me
quote
more.
To borrow a quote from...
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just for context, Oasis is a band made up of 2 brothers, Liam and Noel Gallagher, who not only hate each other, but are 2 of the most despicable people on the planet.
I second that shit. And just to accentuate this further, just to borrow a quote from Jared's brother Scott, he'd show up to family events like he was playing a show. Jacket and sunglasses and the walk. It got to the point where most of us were just rolling our eyes.
I would too.
Yeah, but even despite that animosity, Jered claims that he stayed with Satan because it supposedly kept the family together. At least according to a quote from his mom anyway, but who knows how that actually went down. And now, of course, here's where the story begins to burgeon more fully. At age 17, he moved in with Kelsey, his current wife, and then his girlfriend, while he was working at a fast food restaurant and attending Columbia College, earning a bachelor's degree in, get this, psychology. Saying, quote, "I've always been fascinated with human behavior and marketing, and how you can implant an idea in someone's mind." So he thought his career would be like Inception or something?
He is not.
It was either going to be that or working for
Yeah. So fast forward to 3 years later, by the way, for reference, he was planning to pursue his master's as well. This is when shit gets real. According to the claims he made in the profile, one day he started coughing up blood. And as he says, the sink was filled with blood. I thought, okay, I'm dead. So basically, with that little bit of context in mind, this whole thing is now basically just stupid Breaking Bad.
But when does the meth come into play?
He was probably doing it the whole time, so
Is he cooking?
I guess so. I mean, you know what they say, living is dying. I'm doing the hand and shirt thing right now.
You know, somebody should have given him a good cup of coffee. Would have made him go, why the hell are we cooking meth?
My God, that is the best coffee I've ever tasted. Why the hell are we making meth?
So pretty much at that point is when he decided, you know what, I'm going to make this whole fucking rockstar thing happen. So in 2012, the two of them pack up and move to Hesperia, California, where she took an office job and he was living cheaply off of his savings, which apparently, despite coming from a small no-name town, he had a lot of savings. So much so that he was able to spend $10,000, approximately, on recording a lot of the material that he was working on, even going as far as shelling out to have his record mastered by Greg Colby, a record engineer who's had a long storied history dating all the way back to at least the 70s, having worked with many artists throughout the years, including, and here's a short version of his discography he's worked on, John Lennon, Edgar Winter, Bruce Springsteen, Blue Oyster Cult, David Bowie, The Ramones, Rainbow, Bon Jovi, Anthrax, Living Colour's debut album Vivid, and even moving into the modern era, we have Kings of Leon, Alabama Shakes, Bon Iver, Fall Out Boy Save Rock and Roll, Sleater King, American Football's comeback album, Fleet Foxes, and so much more. Seriously, I am leaving out just a ton of stuff here. So, you know, he's obviously trying to go big, although apparently the record engineer kind of had some backhanded compliments about the material he was working on, but, who doesn't? When, crafting his persona, he claimed that he idolized the villains of rock and roll, hoping to create a David Bowie-esque alter ego in the vein of guys like Alice Cooper or Marilyn Manson. Quote, if you're the hero, you're going to get a quarter of the attention of the bad guy. A happy story lasts a day, but a tragedy is going to last a lifetime. And, there is some truth to that. I mean, how many people love Dio Brando versus Jonathan Joestar?
I'll offer a counterpoint. Sometimes it takes like 25 years for a movie about your life to get made. And then Rami Malek wins a Golden Globe for it.
Oh, yeah. And I heard that movie won Best Picture.
Yeah, because, Hollywood.
In the drama category, even though it was a musical, it beat up Black Panther.
Yeah. And here's the golden quote here. This is the most self-indulgent piece of shit I've heard said by this guy yet. I'm willing to do what it takes to try to bring rock back into the spotlight.
Oh, God.
Hey.
I'm staring off in just pure space like this is The Office right now. You're going to save rock and roll. God. Really? Which is why he paid for all those fake likes, paid for a fake tour, and, basically does a bad pastiche of 80s rock. Look, I know there's been a lot of hashtag discourse recently about whether or not rock is dead or not, and I'm not really interested in that discourse because I think everyone's a little bit off base here about everything, but you are so not going to save rock and roll. Jeez. You can probably barely save the princess in a Mario game.
Yeah, I'm saying rock and roll is like me saying I saved anime.
Yeah. Anyway, in claiming how he developed his persona, he cites influence from figures like his self-professed favorite comedian of all time, Andy Kaufman. Which is a shame because you're not funny, Mr. Threatin.
Yeah. And at what point does he start to wrestle women? Because, he wants to be a women's wrestler.
What?
That's something Andy Kaufman did.
Oh.
It's true. Look it up. So then we get to, the setup for the tour, getting all the musicians together, spending $5,000 to book all the venues through his alias Casey Marshall. And then at that point, the September before the tour, he was coughing up blood again to the point where he was finally forced to visit a doctor. Seriously, that's worth noting that he refused to speak to a doctor after the coughing fit, claiming, quote, "Those people are inadequate, they're not going to know what they're doing," even though his wife was apparently studying or either working as a nurse at the time. Class act. So, that September, when he visited the doctor, he was told that he suffered from an abnormal heart condition and could, quote, internally bleed to death at any moment. Which you gotta admit, that's pretty brutal. He could probably market that into a successful death metal career.
Yeah, or, puke it out. It'll make for a good song title.
Indeed. Really amp up that Satith performance art somewhat. But, it's worth noting that there might be a lot of sketchiness around the Threatin story, but this is the one thing that's pretty much can be certifiably true. His various band members did corroborate that he was looking rather sickly throughout the tour, so we pretty much know what's up with that now. And, of course, he claims that he doesn't plan on resurrecting Satith or getting back in touch with his brother Scott anytime soon, unless it's for a documentary, which he hopes to make with the footage that his wife shot. Quote, "If it served the story and it would be more interesting for there to be a reconciliation, then I'd consider it. Other than that, I have no interest."
Okay, hang on. Let's take a look at some of the great rock documentaries of all time. Anvil, Some Kind of Monster, This Is Spinal Tap. Who's gonna care about this of all things?
Like, at the end of the day, you're only really niche internet famous. Like, sure, you've gotten profiles in all these magazines and everything, but your music has been so thoroughly mocked, even if we subtract all the stage, the pageantry, the fakeness of everything, your music sucks. Who gives a shit?
You're no Dewey Cox.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
And you're no Tommy Wiseau either.
Yeah.
I'm fed up with this world. I'm gonna rip a sink out of the wall. And hopefully this will highlight the different instruments and the different things I can do on the different instruments. It's too good. I really gotta see if someone's uploaded those interviews anywhere. Those are fucking great.
I don't think Seth Rogen's gonna buy the rights to this story anytime soon.
Definitely not.
Nope.
Now to move on to the other profile done on him via the BBC, courtesy of Jessica Lucenhop. Because these people deserve to be credited. I mean, Jered's not crediting people he takes from. So she pretty much went directly to Hesperia to visit Threatin in his home, which was a pretty questionable decision. She was even warned by his brother, quote, "It's all smoke and mirrors with Jered. He'll lead you to believe there's something big to get you to bite, only for you to be let down. Be careful." And describing Jered's house, he apparently lived in a relatively humble, single-story house, although apparently he had lots of framed portraits of himself on the side and lots of black t-shirts and cargo shirts in his wardrobe. And, it's going through a lot of the usual stuff, even, claiming Jered says that his site reports sales of 55,000 copies for his debut EP. That's bullshit. We will explain why in a minute. Stick a pin in that. The usual tour preparing stories that have been recounted by all the other accounts from the other band members, except this one is actually complete with group shots. Not any of Jered, but the other instrumentalists all seem, yay, we're so happy to be going on tour and whatnot. So, it starts the first show of the night in good old Camden, England. Mr. Marshall promised 291 tickets, over half of the venue's capacity, but John Viner, the owner of the venue, was, quote, quite angry, even saying, quote, "I told Casey by email never to contact us again." Right into the point. Now, moving on to the next venue, Trillions in Newcastle, the band Dogflesh, fronted by musician Roy Moore, was quoted as saying, "We thought, yeah, this guy's obviously the real thing. We thought if we could get on with their booking agent in America, maybe they can open up a few more doors for us." However, not only did that not happen, Threatin did not even acknowledge Dogflesh backstage, which is usually just poor, etiquette on the part of musicians. And at that point, Moore basically just bailed before their set, in which there was only 5 people in the crowd, 2 of which were members of his band. Then, of course, comes back around to the Exchange show, which contains an account by Ghost of Machines member Billy John Bingham, who claims that 10 minutes before the band went on, that band being Threatin for the record, they were pulled over by one of the managers who said, quote, "They haven't sold any tickets. I've asked them to cough up the money that we've lost or we're losing on the bar. Otherwise, they're going to close the venue." And at that point, Eames was forced to withdraw 400 euros from an ATM and then got into an argument with a manager. And of course, that's when, again, Mr. Minty found all the fake shit and everything, all the websites linked back to the same GoDaddy account. Well, actually, no, that one was even discovered by a local London music blogger, Tim Williams, the editor-in-chief of Sick Chirps, who, found all the fakeness. Although, just as a quick tangent, apparently Jered has a few cats in his house. They're adorable cats. I just felt like saying that. And then during the profile, at one point, reciting Lucenhoff's words exactly, he'd reached under his bed and fished out 5 notebooks, showed me line after line of email addresses, passwords, and lock symbols to denote they've been locked down or flagged as spam. So basically he had like a whole catalog of fake profiles that he was using for, YouTube, Facebook spam and everything. So I guess at a certain point he just said fuck it and decided to farm all that stuff out to, the like farms. And he even had 8 phones to store all of this information.
8 phones?
What? Why does somebody need that many burner phones?
I guess he got caught one too many times.
Yeah,
Need to spread out his escapades across multiple phone IPs or whatever the fuck they're called.
And if Kevin Gates talking about got so many phones, he got 2.
And then, of course, there's another wrinkle here. He had a Gmail account under the name Evie Knows It.
What?
Huh?
Dude, that sounds like the kind of fake name that even Arrested Development would toss out for being too dumb. Come on. And claims to have sent out emails to various news publications with the following text. Subject line: urgent news tip. The musician going by the name of Threatin is a total fake. He faked a record label, booking agent, Facebook likes, and an online fan base to book a European tour. 0 people are coming to the shows, and it is clear that his entire operation is fake. Please don't let this man fake his way to fame. Please expose him. Now, here's some important details here. The message was post-dated November 2nd, the day after the start of their Break in the World tour. And it even has an Excel sheet, database of emails to various music outlets, including Consequence of Sound, Rolling Stone, Pitchfork, Metal Sucks, and of course, the BBC. Even claiming, quote, "I manufactured my own destruction. My idea was, how am I going to fill these empty rooms? I'm going to fill them with eyes from the digital world. That was the objective from the beginning."
Okay, hang on a minute. Let me see if I'm getting all this right. This guy put in all this time and effort and all this money to fabricate an identity and get his name out there to look like an idiot on the internet?
He's the mastermind pulling the strings, man. He probably learned all this stuff from watching Jordan Peterson lectures on YouTube. That's right.
Okay, this is stupid Breaking Bad. Holy fuck.
Yeah. And stupid
wait.
Black Mirror.
It's time to fact check the stupidity once again from the fine, diligent Mr. Vince Neilstein over at Metal Sucks. Fact checking 2 important claims here. First, the idea that he manufactured his own destruction via the emails, and then the other being the number of orders Threatin's got in. First, we'll deal with the email thing. Metal Sucks confirms that they did indeed receive the email from the Evie Knows It alias on November 17th, which was at least a good week after the stories first broke. Jessica even showed, Vince an email that was supposedly sent to Metal Sucks on November 7th. However, they checked through all the Metal Sux emails, including the spam folder, and never found that email. Worth noting that the PRP also received the November 17th email, but Metal Injection did not, and neither did BBC nor Consequence of Sound. So he can't even keep his dates consistent. Okay, then. And now for the last detail here, the claim that he sold, thousands of CDs. And Vince refutes this by giving a detailed personal explanation along with how receipts and online shopping work. To wit, on November 12th, Vince ordered a Threatin t-shirt, which he says he wore to the Metal Sux holiday party as a gag, even saying that it went over great and that he'll never wear it again, which, I really gotta give some props to someone who's willing to go that far for a joke.
Yeah.
That is the level of comedy I aspire to.
Yeah.
So he posts the email receipt he got from Threatin's website, which was marked number 10,025. Now, he extrapolates from there, the details, that Threatin's website was built using a Wix template, and that such templates and website design tools that allow for, building online shops and stuff, they often mark order numbers with, a base figure that then counts further from there. In the case of Wix, their base number for any orders for specific online stores is 10,000, and then successive orders are counted upwards from there. Meaning that, if anything, Vince's order from the store was the 25th order, legit order that his website ever received.
Mm.
And that's basically everything, every stone unturned at this point of the Threatin story. Now, the only thing that could conceivably happen from here is the lawsuits. If there are any.
Yeah, and this just makes you wonder, if we had this level of journalistic integrity with all the political discourse going on right now, we'd be in much better shape. But then again, that's not what gets the views now, is it? Fuckers.
But, yeah, so... Jesus Christ, this whole fucking story. So, he's trying to claim that, he manufactured the whole tour, but also manufactured, the controversy. He was going to be, the big tip-off. He can't even keep all... I counted at least 3 different dates listed amidst all of those emails and shit. Come on, dude. Come on.
He be fucking
Christ,
up.
this dude. Yes, indeed.
Yep.
Oh, well, at the very least, we won't have to talk about this guy until, again, he gets the Fire Festival treatment. By the way, isn't it great that we're getting that documentary on Netflix this month?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit, that's right.
That is some tasty stuff.
So, okay, that wraps up the updates for that particular saga, but we still got one more thing to talk about here. So, we've been talking about Woodstock 50 pretty consistently for the past few weeks. Last week, we paid a visit back to our old friend Billy McFarland for the Fire Festival.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's one other Decibel Boost saga that we're missing here. Who possibly could it be? Oh, yeah, there it is. This record will highlight the different instruments and the different things I can do on the different instruments. Jered Threatin. Now officially the 3rd douchiest Jered of all time, behind Subway Jered and Pro Jered.
Yeah. We can say a lot of things about this guy, but...
Yeah, if your name's Jered and you're not one of these guys, it's a bad week to be named Jered.
Yeah. We can say a lot of bad things about this idiot, but at least he never, committed any bad touch bullcrap, as far as we know.
Or molested any kids.
No, instead of...
Or did he?
Instead of screwing over kids and his wife, he decided to screw over his bandmates.
With his wife.
That is true. So, yeah, last time we heard from Mr. Threatin, we found out the full details about what the actual mysterious backstory of this man is, both from intrepid internet research and from interviews with the man himself. Basically, he's Walter White, but stupid and with dumb hair. And pretty much of all the stuff we know about the story, the only thing that remained were any potential lawsuits. And would you look at that? There actually were lawsuits, and Mr. Jered lost. So recently, public records were posted to the Superior Court of California, specifically in the county of San Bernardino, on their website, showing that he was on the receiving end of a lawsuit from his former bandmates, specifically guitarist Joe Primeira and drummer Dane Davis. They took Jered and his wife Kelsey to court, over the money that they were that they were pretty much specifically screwed out of because of this trip. So they were specifically seeking for recovery of expenses that they spent for flights home after they found out all the fuckery from all the food, the living expenses while on the road, any lost wages, and the gear they had bought specifically for the tour. So specifically, Primeira was awarded the maximum amount allowable in small claims court, which is $10,000, nothing to sneer at, plus $250 in court fees, while Davis got a total of $3,975. Now, here's the thing. It's worth noting there wasn't really much of a legal battle because Jered and Kelsey failed to appear in court, which pretty much means they lose by default. That's kind of how these things work.
Oh, God.
So, in addition to that, though, Dane Davis's mother, Deborah, had also sued both of the Eameses for money related to funds that she spent to book a return flight from Europe when the tour collapsed, as well as the money she spent to fly to Ireland and see her own son play. That was awarded a total of $4,035, including court fees. So basically, the total amount that Jered and Kelsey owe because of these lawsuits is roughly in the realm of about $18,000. Looks like he's not recording that second album anytime soon. So, yeah, these lawsuits have been floating around for apparently a few months now. Primeira and Davis filed on December 24th, 2018. Merry Christmas. Deborah filed on January 14th, but basically all the, cases were, since they dealt with the same douchebag, were rescheduled to all be heard on the same date. Now, here's the thing. According to the records, notice of the initial claims were sent to Jered and Kelsey through the Postal Service on February 6th. Tracking notices for the packages show that they were both returned to sender as unclaimed on March 1st and March 4th, despite notices left behind that their signatures were required on these documents as well. Kelsey was eventually served a notice in person for both herself and Jered by a private process server on March 25th. Of course, the hearings, when they actually happened on April 8th, they failed to appear, so again, you lose. So, yeah, all of this happened. Also worth noting that, according to what Primeira told Metal Sux, because they're the only ones who give enough of a shit to find all of this out, the notices that were sent to the Eameses were returned, quote, not deliverable as addressed. Primeira suspects that Kelsey probably just wrote that and then stuck it back in the mail. So with the 30-day window where they can appeal the decision after the hearing now having passed, basically they have to figure out how they're going to get that fucking money, which, as we all know, could basically amount to freezing assets and garnishing whatever wages they're getting, which, how they would have any wages, I don't even fucking know at this point. Oh, and you know what the worst part is? We actually kind of lost this in the shuffle in the past few months, but it's relevant to bring up here. All of this happened while Mr. Threatin was apparently trying to hook up a 1-year anniversary tour for the nonsense.
Oh.
A 1-year anniversary European tour, and we bring this up because he is currently seeking, and I need to say this here. Let me read this posting here. Quote, "Who wants to go to London? Threatin is seeking another guitarist for his upcoming tour to the United Kingdom this November." Another guitarist! That means he found a bassist and a drummer willing to go along with this crap. Although, to be fair, the bassist is probably the same guy who, said, oh yeah, sure, I'll do it again, even though it's obvious I was fucking lied to, because, man, it's just...
Okay. That's not the amusing part. All the criteria is insane. I want to go through this.
Yeah, we gotta go through this. This is fucking,
Yeah.
Okay, so, again, I need to use the wording here. It says, preferred but not required. I'm just air quoting here, because whatever. Okay, so he says, you cannot live with your mother, have more than one lazy eye, be someone who reads self-help books and think it's helping. So says the man who follows Jordan Peterson on Twitter. Okay, then. Be someone who says, spoiler alert, while talking about something I don't care about. You cannot be a vegan. You cannot be someone who thinks high-fiving is ever okay. Have a forehead larger than the rest of your face. Well, I mean, there goes Jack's films. Be someone who doesn't have the webcam on their computer covered with tape. You cannot be from Montana. You cannot be someone that types "you" to replace a 3-letter word. You cannot have ever said LOL out loud. You cannot be someone who describes themselves as a people person. You cannot be whiter than me.
Okay.
Well, that's impossible.
Okay.
And then, of course, there's the you must. The things you must have. Have proficient guitar skills, be comfortable on camera in front of a film crew, have a valid passport, be available for rehearsals in Los Angeles, and, Mr. Alex, you want to read this last line here?
Yeah. Be able to understand that some of these requirements may or may not be a joke. Considering the guy in question, I don't think he even knows what a joke is.
Well, I mean, he does know what a joke is. He is one. Obviously.
Oh, this guy's a fucking idiot.
That too.
So, yeah. This motherfucker, like, Jesus. Have you not done enough? You're probably not even going to go on this tour at all, because, the fucking court is going to be coming for your ass, because motherfuckers got to get paid.
It's who want to... I'm like, I didn't hear the shit, who want to tour with this guy? Let him know me his guitar. It's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, like, hell no. I'm not joining class. Like, and other people to screw this up, you gotta do this, you can't be vegan. Okay, I guess you gotta beat with the melon, I guess. Or something.
Obviously.
All these specific reasons, like, fuck, man. It's like you want people to walk extra through you, like, just for you? Like, you're not that special. I mean, you're special, but not in a good way.
Yeah. God bless Vince Neil Stein for going through all this stupid shit and putting it out for all of us to laugh at.
I should buy that guy a beer one day if I ever meet him in person. But, dear Lord, yeah, Threatin, just good luck with everything. But actually, I mean good luck in the same way that you're apparently never supposed to say Macbeth during a production of Macbeth. Superstitions.
Is it better to say Macbeth it's better to say Macbeth while doing Macbeth? Or some shit like that, damn. Macbeth.
Don't question the logic, Mark. I am trying to be witty here. But at least that makes more sense than Threatin's schemes. But, anyway. And that would be where the story, where all of our news ends for this week. But there is one little loose end that we have to tie up here. Now, I don't know if you all heard, but this past week, it was actually recently announced that we are, in fact, getting Season 5 of the Eric Andre Show. It's going to be due out at some point in 2020, possibly the first half or so. I'll wager my bets on that, and I gotta be honest, I'm fucking hyped, man. The Eric Andre Show has consistently been, like, on average, my favorite comedy thing of the 2010s. Just the absurdist sketch humor, the weird, gross out non sequiturs, the complete and total madness, chaos, and destruction. And I think we may have already figured out who his first musical guest is going to be. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jered Threatin.
Wait, huh? What?
I'm sorry, what?
Now, I don't know if you remember, but last year, one of the great sagas of the Decibel Boost podcast was the tale of a man named Jared Eames, known under the alias of Threatin, who got into some major controversy after it was revealed that he used a vast fabricated network of fake studios, fake press sites, bots buying fake views and follows on his social media channels to con his way into booking a European tour where, quite literally, no one showed up. It was a beautiful train wreck to see play out in real time. Seriously, me and Alex were just like fucking glued at the computer every freaking second. It was too good not to follow all the juice and the dirt being picked up from everyone from sites like the BBC, Rockfeed, friggin', SMG, and of course Vince Neil Stein at Metal Sucks, who did the bulk of the reporting, and we thank him for it. Now, it turns out that at some point between the last time we talked about Threatin and now, he actually did schedule a 1-year anniversary tour of the whole fraud. And that first date was this past Friday. And let's just read a play-by-play, courtesy of Metal Injection, to just see what exactly it is that happened. Alright, let's see where the whole start. It was published literally the day of, so I'm gonna read like bit by bit here. So, quote, just a few hours ago, Threatin returned to the Underworld in London for a special one-off show attended by approximately 50 people, 1/10 of the venue's capacity, and about 7 times as many people as last time. This legend even bought a Threatin t-shirt, and you can tell he is so uncomfortable trying to be there.
I'm seeing this for the first time, and oh god, what are we getting into? Are we going back into the? Are we getting back into the deep end through the looking glass into the upside down?
Now, before Threatin's set began, a giant curtain covered the stage. And yep, there's the picture right there. There's a curtain covering the stage, and there's like 2 people up front. When the curtain finally fell, Threatin's latest stunt was revealed to be a set of Kraftwerk-style mannequins, posed with fake instruments acting as his backing band.
What?
Just look at that picture.
I
They literally have their hands up like the universal sign for what the fuck. Even they can't believe what the hell is about to happen.
Is that a Bob doll?
We'll get to that.
Oh dear.
After
God.
the robots were left there to mime one of Threatin's songs for a while, Jered and his new human band took the stage. Unfortunately, technical difficulties meant that Threatin's microphone rarely worked, forcing him to hand vocal duties over to his mute robot compatriots. Maybe this is part of the plan, and yep, there he is. The actual people are there. He's walking around with the mic. He's putting it up to the fucking mannequins. They're still making that pose, and he's staring at one of them like, "You want to fight, bruh?" If this isn't weird enough for you, it gets better. After a few songs, Threatin, and I need to stress, I am reading this word for word here, Threatin pulled out a blow-up doll wearing a BBC News t-shirt and used it to give himself a simulated blowjob. And there's pictures.
No.
You know, this is the kind of stuff I would totally expect from a guy who probably deeply follows the studies of Prager University.
And Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, him too.
Don't forget that. Anyway, moving on. Right at the end of the set, Jered and his band left the stage, leaving the robots to mime part of presumably while the bassist was playing with horrible finger form. Never forget, Anthony Fantano sure has not forgotten. After returning for his encore, it wasn't long before Threatin turned on his fake band, physically attacking and destroying them while wrecking the rest of the stage in the process. And yup, there's a headless mannequin, there's him just tearing stuff up, he's holding it up in the air like he's saying, there can be only one. The BBC blowjob doll got scalped along the way, and yup, there's a picture of the fucking drum set having fallen apart as well. And someone got video of the entire thing, which I have not watched yet. I am so tempted, though. Yeah, remember what I said about Eric Andre Season 5? Is this, like, supposed to be the sneak preview? Are we gonna get Threatin going on with Eric Andre at the Adult Swim Festival?
I hope not, because...
Oh boy.
God.
What have we learned today, kids? Honestly, I'm not sure we learned much of anything.
I don't know.
We've learned nothing. Absolutely
and
nothing.
And this man has learned nothing.
Oh, God. Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God. It's just... Everything about this just screams attention whore. Undoubtedly attention whore. And the fact that only 50 people bothered to show up. That, yeah. And looking at the YouTube video right here, I can see there's about, let me take a closer look. Yeah, 4,330 views and a like to dislike ratio of 13 to 28. I detect bots are at play here. Wouldn't be the first time.
Well.
No, it would not. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this. Is this supposed to be like anti-art of some kind or a statement of some kind? I mean, the mannequins were wearing shirts that say, I'm not real and fake band. So, like, what's the point of all this?
Dude, I would say anti-art, but like, fucking Captain Beefheart is anti-art. 100 Gex is anti-art. Fucking, this is just bullshit. Goddamn. This is almost like when fucking Bleach and Food Wars got abruptly cut off and only had 3 chapters to wrap up all their shit. This is like a really bad postscript to like an otherwise really engaging in a bad way sort of saga.
Oh.
I mean, at least we won't have to think about this douchebag anymore.
Yeah, I'm just
Nope.
I'm just scrolling through the live thread from a guy named Richard who was in there, who got interviewed by Metal Injection and NME, and there are a few interesting quotes I want to mention here.
Him on me.
Venue bar shut because obviously there's only 50 people here. There's a crowd of people heckling Brandon, who is presumably in the band, and one heckler who just yelled, "Sing your fucking songs," with hilarious sincerity. Crowd standing out. The journos have got their footage. A few fans who look disappointed left too. What did they expect? 38 people left.
Damn.
You started with 50 and you got dropped down to 38. There was no encore and it ended abruptly. What a fucking night. I think the only thing this feed didn't capture was the intro tape, which was made up of people reading news headlines about Threatin, and ended with a Donald Trump quote about what else? Ugh.
Oh boy.
Yeah. This is just bizarre, unhinged, and most of all, really friggin' stupid. There might have been actually more media people there than actual music attendees, which is not a good sign, especially when most of the music journalists there are probably there just to write about how fucking stupid you are.
Yeah. Oh, God. You know, I joke about this, but I legitimately can actually imagine Eric Andre trying to get this dude on his show. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised. But we can now put all of this behind us until he actually starts doing videos for PragerU.
Oh boy.
But
That'll
let's not
skip
too much.
Yeah.